not going to come in now, was rejection. And it's part of my life, rejection. And I'm like, yet another person has abandoned me. And so, why, Skinder Man? Why? And so maybe I'm just boring. Maybe I over-explain things. Maybe he's found someone cooler to stalk. Maybe he's stalking Flea now. Fine! Fine! Anyway, the next 2 days go by, and the guy doesn't home invade. And I'm getting really bored of being on point. And I'm sleeping in really weird times, like making coffee and sleeping. Because now I'm like days without a whole lot of sleep. So I'm taking my cat naps on the couch, and I'm waking up whenever a car goes by. Ready! And the guy doesn't show up. By day 3, I'm officially done being incarcerated in my house. I want to do something with my life. So I decide to do an errand. It doesn't really have any purpose, but I'm going to go outside and get back to normal in these times of COVID. And so I decide I'm going to call my pal Sam, who owns a poster framing and art framing shop, and call him and see if I can drop off a piece of punk rock antiquity and have him frame it in a glare-free, acid-free archival environment. And so I call Sam at 12:45. I go, Sam, it's Henry. Can I fall into your place at 1300 hours and drop off an old punk rock poster? He said, no problem. Hit the buzzer. I know you'll come at 1 p.m. because, Henry, you always put the punk in punctual. Hey. And so before I leave, I gather my cell phone, my wallet, my car keys, and this poster that's in a poster tube. And I look through every window trying to see if the guy is somewhere lurking on my cement-surrounded property. I can't see him. Doesn't mean he's not there. He might be hiding, waiting for me. And so I leave the house, I lock the door, and I have to go down the stairs and make a right turn to my car. And so I think I need to put on a display to momentarily terrify him so I can run past him and get to the car. So I take this like 9-ounce tube of cardboard over my head like it's any Toshiro Mifune film with Akira Kurosawa directing. I'm like, ah! Like I'm a maniac who's going to hit you with a paper tube. This is me at 60. Pathetic doesn't even begin to describe it. So I run screaming to my car. He's not there. And hopefully no one saw it. And I hop in and I drive the 3 traffic lights, takes an hour and a half. To get there, I park outside of Sam's and I lock my door. I hit the buzzer. He lets me in and we spread out this piece of punk rock antiquity, and we're talking about UV-coated glare-free plexi and the like, and my cell phone rings. And I'm not trying to impress you that I'm a man who lives alone. I really don't know many people. I'm not an anti-person, quite the opposite, actually. I just understand the limits of what I can understand emotionally. When a relationship becomes too emotionally complex, I don't know what to do because I'm just not good at it. And so I've given myself to a life of work and conversations on the phone. I'm really not all that into. I get anxious. I really want to go. And so on my phone, there's the number for my manager, a woman who's been hectoring and emasculating me for over a quarter of a century. Its damn name is Heidi. Or there's road manager Ward, who manages the road, and we've been working together for, what, 14, 16 years, something like that. The occasional phone interview I do, and the accountant will call, and Ian. And those are the kind of the people in my tiny universe. So when the cell phone rings, it's either a telemarketer, one of those robocalls, elect this psychotic right-wing congressperson to office, or it's one of the aforementioned people. I'm talking with Sam, and the cell phone rings. I look at it, it says Heidi. So I go, hey, Heidi. And she said, Henry, where are you? In my old life, when I used to live all over the world pre-COVID, and I did, I would just camp out all over the world. I'd live in Hanoi for a while, live in Cusco, in the beautiful Peruvian Andes for a while. This was my old life, and then COVID took it all away. There's an alarm company in America called ADT. They have alarmed my home. And if an alarm goes off, anything goes off, they call Heidi. That's the default number, not me, because A, I'm an idiot. B, I'm never around. And so she goes, Henry, where are you? I said, I'm with Sam. We're looking at an old punk rock poster from the 14th century. She goes, Henry, ADT just called. The motion detector in your living room just went off. Law enforcement's on the way to your house. The guy is in my house. What are you going to do? I have no plan whatsoever. So I go, Heidi, I'm going to leave Sam's right now, get in my car, drive back to the house, and deal with the stalker. It's like, Henry, no! You'll kill him! And I rarely have Heidi at a disadvantage. She's the smart one, so usually I'm at a disadvantage. But I know her very well after a quarter of a century of arguing with this woman. She has a lot of empathy. We call her the empath. I'm the no-path. She's 98.6 blood coursing through her veins of care. She cries at those dog commercials when there's a dog in the cold. She weeps. I'm mostly made out of plastic and hatred. And so I have her at a disadvantage. She goes, like, don't kill him. And I said, kill? Kill? Honey, I never would have thought of killing him until you told me to kill him. Henry, I never. And that's what you hang on. Come on! That's great humor. And so I said, Sam, I'm leaving. He said, but you just got here. I said, I know. Sam, I've got to stop. He said, he's very sorry. What it is, what it is. So look, Sam, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go back to my house and deal with the stalker. And Sam goes, oh, no. We'll lock the door. We'll call 911. Henry, you don't talk to these people. You don't touch these people. You stay inside and you call the cops. I said, you know what? A uniformed professional told me that a few days ago. However, I am tired of calling the cops and waiting around. David Lee Roth of Van Halen once said to me, Henry, we sail on the seas of consequence. Sam, I'm going out on said seas. So look, Sam, one of two things is going to happen today. I'm going to leave right now and go deal with this guy. I might be calling you really soon, trying to reschedule today's appointment. You might see me in a couple of hours, if your schedule permits, and I'll walk into your shop covered in drying blood, brain matter, and skull parts, which means I prevail. If you never see or hear from me again, it's not because I don't like you, it's because I died today. Henry, please don't die! I'm not planning on it, but I know very, very up close and personal how easy it is to be killed. So, Sam, if I die today, and this is my promise to you, Sam, if I die today and I'll never see you again, man, you're a good guy, and keep the poster. Henry, no! I think this is pitch perfect comedy. I leave. I go into my economy car, and I go barreling back towards my narrow canyon road, and I'm going up the road about half a mile away from the driveway up the hill, and I see the guy walking down the side of the road. There's no sidewalks. He's walking in the dirt. He sees me. I see him. I immediately, my American instinct, I look at his hands to see if he's going for a weapon, holding a weapon. You never know. Because these days you come into the airport, they just give you a gun. Here! Like, you'll need it. Anyway, he doesn't have a weapon, but I noticed. Bloody Knuckles says to me, he went through that window or had some interaction with that window and that glass that cut him going through the gym, down the stairs to the living room where the motion detector caught him, U-turn, stairs, room, deck, roof, room, stairs, over the wall, and I'm engaging with him now. And so, one of the first of many, many dumb things I did on that day, I pull into the opposite lane to be physically closer to this guy. I could have caused a really gnarly head-on collision, but I'm not thinking, I'm a man of action, I'm acting. And so I'm now in the wrong lane, and I pull up near him, and I said, with no idea in my mind what I'm going to say, I just leaned my head out the window, and I said, hey, Finland boy, come here! He starts walking towards the car. I unlock the passenger side and start pointing vigorously at the passenger door. He walks, and I keep pointing at him. He opens it, he looks at me, I look at him, he sits down, and we're looking at each other. And you know the first thing I said to him? I got right in his face! I said, put your seatbelt on, please. Safety, it's a big fine. He puts the seatbelt on. And so now we're driving up the road towards my house. What's my plan? With no plan, I immediately came up with this non-plan. We'll pull into my driveway. I'll deploy the clicker. The gate will open. We'll go into my front yard parking lot. I'll make a U-turn facing down the driveway. I'll get out of the car, tell him to stay, and I'll go to the passenger side, keep my eye on him, call 911, and have him picked up. And between the 3 minutes to 5 hours we're waiting for law enforcement, he will sit like a model of compliance. I'll run and fetch a bottle of water for him, because it's a semi-air arid environment, Southern California, and dehydration is a thing. I don't want him discomforted. And so he'll just hang out, and maybe we can talk about the really interesting psych folk drone noise scene in Helsinki. I've got about this many records from that scene. Can't pronounce a single one of those bands' names. Maybe he can help me. Maybe I can interview him for my zine, man. Anyway, this will work. And as we're driving up the hill, it occurs to me, I have not talked to this guy after the command to buckle the seatbelt for like 5 to 15 seconds. Rude, and I detest rudeness. And so I put a big go-along, get-along smile on my face, and I engage in buoyant, effervescent taxi talk. So I say to him, hey, so you broke into my house. And he goes, yes. And like his candor completely caught me out there. I was like, I'll rephrase it. You broke into my house. And he looks at me and he says, are you hard of hearing? Really? The old man came out again. We'll pull over and deal with this guy. Anyway, so I said, why? And he said, because you're rich and you can afford to lose a few things. And, you know, communism. I love a non sequitur. I said, just to be clear from my memoirs, did you just say to me, and you know, communism? He went, yes. I'm like, how weird. Like, what kind of communism do you mean? Let's drill down on that. Leninist communism, Marxist communism, Fox News communism, or anyone you disagree with, they gotta be a commie. Commie Joe Biden, harumph. But there's no time to have that conversation. There's a driveway. We pull in, and I pull out the clicker, and I click it, and the gate won't open. And it's a mighty laser beam, I redirect. No, it's not opening. I look at my cell phone, no reception. Not wanting to keep my new friend out of the information loop, I have to over-explain everything that just happened. This is the clicker. It's not opening the gate. Here's my phone. No reception. So, a clicker that doesn't work, a phone with no reception, and you are in my car. Oh, what a day I'm having, huh? And he looks at me like, I guess. I'm like, wow. Young people, right? Nothing's funny, man. Anyway, we back out of the driveway, and now I'm in complete improvisation mode. I've got no plan. So why not drive up the hill? And if we keep going, we'll be at the Warner's lot in about 12 minutes. And so I'm driving up and like, I gotta turn this car around. Why? I don't know. So I turn the car around and I drive back down the hill by my house, keeping my eyes on his hand so he didn't grab the wheel and steer us into the creek. And I'm looking at my phone, no reception. The phone comes back to life in time for me to pull into a driveway made of dirt that goes to a ravine behind the street that this Park Service clears out twice a year for like dead deer and fallen trees in the 4 seconds a year. Los Angeles gets rain. And so my plan is to hop out of the car, run around to the passenger side, keep my eye on him, and call 911. Before I can get out, the young man leans ahead of me and looks out the driver's side window up the hill. And he looks back at me and says, hey, I've been camping out right up there in the woods. My backpack is up there. Should I go get it? Why not? We get out of the car together and we walk across the street. He goes scurrying up the mountain. He comes back down with the backpack. And I said, hey, why don't you let me hang on to that for you? He gives me the backpack. We walk back to the car. I pop the trunk. I throw in the backpack. I close it. I open the passenger door for him, polite. And I go, get in. He gets in. Who's a good boy? And so I call 911 from a different location and a different phone number. Cell phone, not landline. So I got to do a whole lot of mansplaining on this call. 911, what's your emergency? Ma'am, my name is Henry, a now frequent contributor of content to the 911 chat line. Look up this address. Oh, you're the one who talks too much. You're someone from Finland. Ma'am, yes, and probably another question. Yes to that one too. Ma'am, I've got an update. Ma'am, I've got him. What do you mean, I've got him? I've got the stalker. Where do you got the stalker? Well, not in my trunk. He's in the front seat of my car, ma'am. Where, sir? Front seat, passenger side. Sir, is he handcuffed? She asked. Ma'am, I've never been that inventive, like role-playing. Like, you'll be another schoolgirl, and I'll be the headmaster with the switch, and I'll give your hot buns the discipline. Or like, handcuff me to a fire hydrant and degrade me all day, girl. I don't have any of that. When I used to swap spits with women, it was over in 11 to 19 seconds, a little bit of passion, and then back to work. So no, ma'am, I don't have handcuffs. I'm not that loose, if you will. Sir, that was way too much. Sir, he's sitting in the front seat of your car right now. Yes, ma'am. Where are you? Oh, I'm outside looking at him. He's looking at me and I'm looking at him. Sir, you've done everything wrong. Can you tell me how you got him into the car? Which, in my opinion, is tradecraft. So I get away from the car. You're not going to believe this. I said, hey, Finland boy, come here. And he got in the car. And she says, that worked. I go, it totally worked. I didn't have anything written. It just came out of me. Sir, I need you to run away from the car. You're in a great deal of danger. I said, ma'am, I own that car. I'm not running. And she said, you're standing next to this guy. I said, I'm right there. Sir, you must run away. I'm going to redirect law enforcement to meet you down the road. Half a mile. I'll be the one standing next to the blue Mazda 6. Don't shoot me. I'm the cute one. He's the young one. Kill him. Sir, you've done everything wrong. If anything escalates, please call it. None of these bits with a hand. Click. Hangs up. I now realize I've kept good old Heidi out of the information loop for a solid 11 minutes or so. I now need to call her and give her the update. So I call Heidi. She's like, Henry, what's going on? I've got him. Oh no, you killed him. The moment the guy can hear Heidi yelling out of the phone, because the phone's here, he's right there, I use this for a comedic advantage. And I look at the guy. Well, I never thought of killing him, but now definitely, Heidi, murder's on my mind. Just to see what he would do. And he looks at me and goes like, no! And he unlocks the door and he starts pushing it open. I close it with my hip. And so Big Mama's hip is keeping it closed. And now I'm like, Heidi's trying to get out of the car. Henry, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to deploy a thing called command presence. When I was young, I first got to Los Angeles in the summer of 1981. I was in a band called Black Flag. And so I was put on internal flyer duty, which they give to the new guy. And so I was given a bucket of wheat paste, a satchel of flyers with a very offensive Raymond Pettibone bit of artwork. And my job was to paint a light pole with wheat paste, slap a flyer on it, and paint the outside of the thing so it glues with metal, glue, paper, glue. So no one can ever get it off forever. And I was warned, don't get caught by the cops. And I'm not criminally minded, really. I come from regular dental appointments, 150,000 pounds of SpaghettiOs being poured down my neck every single year. I'm from the American middle class. And so I'm not used to doing stuff that's illegal. And so I'm putting up these flyers. By the third flyer, the cop car pulls up. So I'm not looking around. I'm like, on one coat of paper and one coat. I don't want to get it wrong. And so this cop gets in my face, like from this far from my face, and he screams at me with so much violence and so much volume. I nearly liquefied. It's called command presence. It's how a cop goes to the scene and with his voice establishes command. You must admit, over the decades, I have refined my yelling technique. I am really good at yelling. I'm not bragging. It's a statement of fact. You can call me Old Yeller. So I say to Heidi, I'm going to deploy command presence in 3, 2. And as I'm counting down, so I want to give her a warning, she's worried about the guy's feelings. Henry, no yelling! Because trauma is easily passed on and absorbed. And so on that guy's deathbed, when I was 22 years of age, a man got in my face and yelled at me and called me a bunch of names, and I'm still screwed up about it. That would be Henry. Heidi does not want that to happen to this man. Too late. P.S. It's called acting, darling. And away I go. Shut your damn mouth! This ends today! You're going to jail! Henry, I said no yelling! Take 2 of 3 of 2. And all I remember before the canyon cut off the call was Heidi going, no! And like the call was cut off, I put the phone away, and I look at the guy. He is officially done with being yelled at and having spit fly on his face from some 60-year-old man. So he jumps into the driver's seat to get away from me. Me, being a fan of the Benny Hill Show, I pay tribute to the Benny Hill Show by jumping into the car to chase him through it. So I'm now in the passenger seat. He's trying to escape through the driver's side door. And I'm figuring, I'm going to hold on to this guy. He'll never get away. And so with one hand, I've got his windbreaker. With another hand, I've got tufts of his short brown hair. And I'm holding on with everything I've got. And I'm right in his face. I'm so mad at this point. He looks at me wide-eyed with fear, and he hits me with non sequitur number 2 for the afternoon. You're just like John Gotti. That's what? He was a famous mafia guy who died in prison from tax evasion. It wasn't the tax evasion that killed him, it was probably the food. Anyway, it's an insult. So I said, sir, you insult me. And he is so done with me. He snaps his arm and gets out of my grip, bobs his head to the side. He's free of me. He goes diving out the driver's side door. Probably going to make a left and a left to go to the trunk, open it, grab the backpack, and abscond. I need to run out of the passenger side door because I've got the key fob in my right rear pocket. If I don't get far enough away from the car will think that he is me and give him access to the backpack. So he jumps out of that door, and I jump out of the other door, and we both run away. We look like a modern-day, Hollywood-based homosexual couple breaking up for real this time. The old man with the money and the young man with the looks and the stamina. But usually these relationships break up out of a Porsche or a Lamborghini. But this is a punk rock tale, so it's breaking up in a well-considered economy car. And so he jumps out and goes right to the trunk. I'm running away this way. By the time he gets to the trunk, he opens it, it won't open. And he figures out Henry ran away from the car. He's got the key fob, and he's not dumb. He comes running at me, trying to get the key fob, which is in my pocket. So he runs at me. I block and push. And I don't know if you've ever groped a man, but you can get a pretty accurate read as to a man's muscle density and muscle quotient by grabbing a muscle group on his body and giving it a squeezy squeeze. And so this man runs at me, and I happen to catch his pectoral muscle in my hand. And I'm, uh-oh, we're in really good physical condition. About 1/3 my age, this guy is going to kill me. So I push him away a second time, and I can feel my stamina plummeting. You're young now. 50 years from now, you'll be my age, and you'll see you don't have much under the tank, and you have to be really respectful, because any 14-year-old can kick your ass. And so I push him away, and he looks at me and says, you just turned 60. You're too old for this. I'm like, oh man, this is going to end really badly. Because I got 1 or 2 more of these. Think about the equation. Mass plus velocity, 170-some pounds plus he's running. That means I'm neutralizing all of that incoming with one hand and then pushing it back. It's like doing the one-arm push-up with your family on your back. I got 1 or 2 more of these because of the adrenaline, and then I'll be done. He'll put me down, choke me to death, take the car. And so deterrence is not working. So I go, what do I do? And magically, Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War, which I read a few times when I was young in the 1980s, it pops open in front of my brain pan. So I'm going through the pages looking for some wisdom, and I'm paraphrasing it best. But at some part of the book, he says, in order to dominate in the battle space, you must dictate every move going forward, lest your opponent start dictating the moves and get the advantage and kill you. And so deterrence isn't working with this guy, and so I must do something else. So I go, well, Sun Tzu, I'll try something else. I'll go on the offense, because deterrence isn't working. He will not stop running at me, and the tussles for the keys become more and more pronounced. So he runs at me again, I block, and I push him a little, so we square up. And I let loose with a left fist that leaves the station at the speed of American progress. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This punch is like, no, it's going to get there. About a day and a half later, it goes whistling by his head. Missed him by, it's like 2 inches, like, whee! It goes by him, but there's some value to be gained by looking at his reaction to the fact that I really tried to punch him in his face. His head slightly lowers. He seems to somewhat deflate. And that says to me, someone's never been in a street fight before. Oh, goody, because I've been in them all over the place. Thanks, Black Flag. And so I let loose with a right that leaves the station with far more purpose, accuracy, and intensity. And it connects solidly and beautifully with his face. Pow! I'm not someone who's ever impressed with himself. However, every 8 to 11 years, for 4 to 15 seconds, I am completely smitten with myself. Whenever locusts come out of the ground, that's when I'm into myself for about that much time. That was that moment. Like, oh yeah, old man just knocked the crap out of the young man. Oh damn, happy birthday to you. And so, I'm kind of digging myself for a moment. P.S. We are both wearing masks. Aren't we cute? We are not observing social distancing. We're not washing our hands between physical encounters, but we are both observing basic COVID protocols. So there we are, standing apart from each other with our masks on. It only occurred to me, we're both wearing masks, and I'm looking at him, huffing and puffing, I'm wearing a mask. And I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, I've got my dukes up, because I know there is no way some 60-year-old man fist really hurt this guy. He's not dead, he's on his feet, so he's gonna come, this fight has just begun, now really, what am I going to do? And so I'm looking at him and I notice a trickle of blood coming from underneath the mask down his neck. I become smitten with myself again. I'm so into myself, and he sees me staring, he's like, what's he staring at? And he's like, and he looks at the blood, and he looks at me, and I'll never forget this. He said, you're smiling. But he couldn't see my mouth, and I didn't say anything back. I was smiling, my eyes were all super shut. That was the count. I was smiling so hard, my entire face ached. So I was so into myself in that moment. And so I'm looking at it with a big smile on my face, trying to regulate my breathing, getting ready for more combat. When LAPD pulls up, 2 cop cars, 4 cops, they hop out of the car, run across the street, surround us. What the hell's going on here? And I will not leave my fighting posture. So I'm up looking at this guy, huffing and puffing, watching him bleed. And so the cops are like yelling at us, utilizing command presence. When I become aware of a rumbling sound, there's a large UPS delivery truck coming down the narrow canyon road, being driven by a guy named JP. JP has been the UPS delivery truck guy in my neighborhood for over 20 years. He's a wonderful guy. He is a bull of a man. He is nothing but muscle. He wears those weird, large UPS brown uniform shorts no matter what the weather is. He has like blinding white teeth and a bowl haircut. He is always out of breath because his job is to carry flat screen TVs the size of a football field up steep driveways and endless flights of stairs to overpaid, underworked people in the entertainment industry. So he lifts heavy things. He's like a Sherpa. He just goes up these inclines carrying stuff. And he does not speak, he only yells. Because years ago, the engine sound has burned out his hearing. So whenever he sees me, a huge smile goes across his face. Hey, Henry! Where are you going on your eventful life now? And I always say, well, I'm about to leave for Ecuador. I'm going to live on the Napo River on a boat with scientists to learn about codependent ecosystems, biodiversity in a rainforest setting, so I can talk about global climate change with more accuracy and more force by getting it from the proverbial horse's mouths. I sure wish I could be on a boat full of scientists, but I'm doomed to be like a Flying Dutchman in my big brown truck, navigating the narrow roads of the Hollywood Hills, delivering things to overpaid, underworked people. Can I use your bathroom? And JP has been using the office bathroom for like the last 5 presidential administrations. And he's a wonderful guy. And he sees me surrounded by 4 cops with my fist in the air, staring at a bleeding man next to my economy car. A huge smile stretches across his face. Beep, beep. Hey, Henry. Hey, JP. And so I have to explain to all 5 of them, 4 cops, 1 stalker, what's going on? I said, that's JP, our local UPS guy. Like, they really need to know. All 5 of them went, oh, yeah. So the truck was by. And I wondered to myself, what did JP think about what he just saw through that massive double-wide windshield? Well, that Henry, he sure has an eventful life. Anyway, two of the cops take the guy across the street to get his testimony, to isolate him from me, and I've got two cops with me. And they've got those long legal pads they write on, and they're writing out my report longhand. I can't help but helping. F-I-N-L-A-N-D, new word, boy, exclamation point. It's got to be an exclamation, because I was yelling on it. And meanwhile, one of the cops across the street yells at the two cops with me, "Hey, our guy says your guy attacked him." I looked at that guy across the street and went, "Shut up!" The two cops with me already kind of dig me because I made this young man bleed. So they think I'm pretty cool. The fact that I can utilize command presence just like that, fist bumps all around. And so they take the young man away. I give the two cops with me the guy's backpack as evidence. And they go, "Okay, we got to go to your house, make sure there's no one else in there, assess the damage, and do a police report." They follow me to the driveway. I hit the clicker. The gate won't open. It will not open. I can't keep these guys waiting. So I hop over the wall and drop to the other side, hoping I don't break. I don't break. I see why the gate won't open. There's a switch box at the bottom of the driveway that has all the computer controls for the motors. The guy reached in, grabbed all the wires, and ripped them out. So the gate is inoperable because the motors can't be given a command to work. And so I have to open this gate on my own. And it's like, and I'm one little guy, and there's these two big gates of steel. And I don't have any time. So like, as a joke, I'll put my palm against one of the gates, and I'll walk forwards. Like, that'll work. I put my palm against the gate, and I walk. The gate opens with no resistance whatsoever. So what I thought was keeping me safe for about a dozen years is complete Hollywood artifice. It is a mere prop. It's a mighty iron gate. You're offensive 7-year-old nephew, the one who talks too loud too often. I was that nephew. He could stand on the street and pull the doors open on his own. "Come on in, Vikings! Pillage!" And so I open the gates on my own. The cops are like, "Damn, strong too." And so we pull up to my house, and we walk in down the narrow wooden hallway that goes to the living room this way, and up the stairs to my bedroom that way. And we see glass on all of the stairs on the hallway that goes up to the beginning of the carpet in the living room, and it stops. And the cops go, "Check all the windows for broken glass." I said, "You don't have to. Here's what happened." He went across the cement parking lot, up the stairs, through a room, down a roof, onto the deck, through this tempered pane glass, through a little room with gym gear, down the stairs, and he stopped right there. The glass you see was trapped in his shoes. You see where the glass stops there? That's because that motion detector, that red light, picked him up. U-turn. Stairs, room, deck, roof, room, stairs, over the wall, and I engaged with him a few minutes later. And they're kind of impressed. They're like, "Whoa, I'm that guy." So I said, "Come with me, let's go look at a bunch of broken glass together." And we go up the stairs to a little gym room. There's glass everywhere. He found a paving stone on top of the roof, and he smashed the glass. And so we're looking around this top floor, because it's the only floor he had some time to look around in. There's no one else there but us, so he didn't bring a friend. And I have a lot of old punk rock, rare things, framed original artwork of albums you might be familiar with. And he took some of my favorite stuff, and he smashed it to pieces. So he broke my gate, he broke my window, he broke my stuff. I'm officially no longer a fan of this guy. When his band tours, I'm not buying the tour-only LP. I don't want the t-shirt anymore. I am done. And so now we're in the kitchen, me and the two cops, and I'm answering the questions. They're filling out the stuff, and they have me sign my name at the bottom. They tear off a version of the report and give it to me. I walk them to the front of the house, open the door to let them out, and that's when the older of the two cops squints and stares at me, and the penny drops. Recognition. "Dude! Dude, this is so rad! Dude, I know who you are, dude! No way! Dude! And the young guy goes, dude, why are you calling that dude? Dude, you know this dude? Dude, I know who you are, dude, you are so rad. Dude, that's Black Flag, dude! That's Black Flag! And the young guy goes, dude! My grandfather loved you guys, dude! Well, we are now at that part of life where I can tell you a few things. things about the proverbial back in the day when I used to see Husker Du for 17 cents and we used to lose 3 to 5 kids per song. The dance floor was slick with blood and the amps were powered by coal. You know nothing. Anyway, they shake my hand and we fist bump a lot. And they leave. And the older of the two cops warned me a detective would be calling me anytime soon to tell me things. And about 3 or 4 hours later, a detective called. Henry, I'm the detective on the case. Very sorry you're going through this. I have just spoken to this young man for the last 3 hours. Would you like the highlights? I said, he talked to you. He said, actually, I couldn't shut him up. I said, all I know, he's from Finland. He's okay. Well, he told me everything. So apparently, you go all over the world and you stand on stage and you do these shows where you talk at a high rate of speed with no notes and no glass of water for a couple of hours. I go, yes. He goes, you did that in Helsinki, Finland in 2016. The guy was at the show. He loved it. He went home, and for the first time in his life, suddenly, he's hearing voices in his head of 2 varieties. The friendly voices say, Henry's really cool. Let's go to Los Angeles and hang out. And the angry voices say, Henry says untrue things about me, and I'm supposed to go to Los Angeles, break into his house, and wreck everything in sight. So I said, aha. That explains a lot of his behavior. When the gates open, he sits down. Okay, voices in his head, I got it. So I said, he gets in a plane from Finland, flies to Los Angeles, gets into a taxi, and breaks into my house. He said, no, you can't get from Scandinavia to the United States right now because of COVID. Here's the really crazy part. He flew from Finland to Mexico, hiked north through Mexico, gets to the Texas-Mexico border, hops over the border, gets robbed, still is intact, hopped a number of freight trains, went west to San Diego, California, 90 miles south of Los Angeles, conveyed himself to LA County, found your home address in Reddit, thanks, and here we are. So I didn't speak for at least a second and a half, because I was marveling at this young man, because he reminds me of me. Focus, discipline, tenacity, never lose sight of the objective. But I'm tired. Finish it! And besides the fact that he broke my gate, broke my window, broke my stuff, and I'll probably have to get a lawyer, I kind of like this guy. And he chose me. Anyway, I said, so now what happens with this guy? He goes, well, he's in a lot of trouble. Multiple felony charges, 5 or at least 3, which means he's going to go to prison for a long time. I go, okay. And he said, you need to get a lawyer. And I said, I didn't do anything. He said, you still need to get a lawyer. And I said, is it the expensive kind? Like there's another kind. And I go, how much is that going to cost? Like, he'd know. I was just desperate. And he goes, well, it's not bad. Multiple felonies, $15,000 to $25,000. Oh, no problem. Because I'm just made of money, especially as the anti-science gang has been canceling one tour after another. I said, I'm kind of broke right now. He goes, well, that's really not my problem. I'll call you back tomorrow. And I hang up with him and I call Heidi, because she's the smart one. I said, Heidi, I need a lawyer. And she's all bored of me. She says, I already found you one. She went to high school with a woman who became a cop. The cop knows all kinds of people. She knows a guy who's the kind of lawyer who puts bad people in jail. And so she called him, and he's a fan of mine. So he's going to give me that old school, cool guy, punk rock discount. And it's only going to be between $12,000 to $17,000 and not $15,000 to $25,000. Like I was worried. And so that guy gets on the phone with me a couple of days later, and he said, I'm going to put this guy in prison for 1,000,000 billion years. And I don't think that's really the answer for a young man who hears voices in his head. Punishment, in my opinion, is not what he needs. Anyway, we're talking about that. And in the meantime, it is decided that the young man will not go to prison. The state of California, the city of Los Angeles, decides it's more expedient and more cost-effective to send him home and have him get medicated and supervised for whatever the period of time is there and not in California, which is perpetually broke, apparently. And so he's not going to go to prison. And so we find out the mom is a lawyer in Finland. I'm very happy about that because lawyers have money. I had my lawyer call her and ask if she can neutralize the costs I am incurring, and she can't because she's a lawyer in Finland and they don't make that kind of money because of socialism or something. Anyway, the young man spends 46 days in the psych ward of the Twin Towers jail, awaiting his day in court. The mom is flown to Los Angeles through the Finnish consulate. So this now has an international flavor. The young man has his day in court. The lawyer is there. Mine, I was not there. The mom is there. The detective is there. The judge is there. He says, young man, you're very lucky. I could put you in prison for a long time. But we're not. We want you to go home and get medication and supervision. So tomorrow morning, you're getting sprung from jail, and you're going to be reunited with your mom sitting behind you, thrown into the loving arms of Homeland Security at Los Angeles International Airport, and sent home. Young man, if you darken the doorway of the county of Los Angeles the next 10 years, we will arrest you at baggage claim, and you will promptly report to prison and do your sentence. Do you understand? And apparently the young guy said, yeah, I get it. And he went home. And for the first several days, after I'm paying a lawyer, which cost a lot, for a window, cost a lot, a gate that cost a lot, and the artwork was a whole lot of dough, I pay and pay and pay and pay, and of course I pay in full. So I'm mad about that. And then the more time goes by, I realize that I really need to stick up for that idea of making this century end better than it began. And it is up to my sense of empathy and the idea of walking in someone else's shoes. Is this guy bad? No, not in my opinion. He hears voices in his head. He, in my opinion, is not at fault. Prison would have destroyed this guy. He's like 20-something. He's young. Hopefully there's like another 80 years of life for this guy with the right medication, if that's what he needs, or someone to talk to, or like someone to look after him. So as more time went on, I became gladder and gladder that he's getting the care, hopefully, that he needs. I think Finland probably gets it right. And I was not happy about the ton of money I had to pay at the time of COVID, but it is what it is. I told all of this to Ian, and Ian is Ian. Like, so you paid a lot of money. Is this the cost of doing business? Is this what happens when you're recognizable? You're recognizable, and the guy who hears voices in his head picked you. So, pay, and what else? I'm like, oh, thanks, man. No problem. That's Ian. Nothing but wisdom falling out of the guy. And so it made me think about the appalling job the United States of America does with the hundreds of thousands of mentally ill people who are all over the streets of the country. If you were to go to Hollywood, California right now, you'd see homeless in camps that go for blocks at a time. They're building two-decker homeless cities on the side of the 101 freeway. Sometimes they collapse and people die. Sometimes they catch on fire and people die. And so Ronald Reagan let all these people out in the 80s like, they need to discover their American freedom. They need a pill and supervision. They're like licking the sun and talking to phone booths. They need help. Oh, no, they don't. They need to be free. And so now you have a country up to here with money that doesn't want to take care of these people. And the state of California will probably tell you there's too much money. And it would be a ton of money to put these people in housing with medication and care. And so I will never throw a problem at you I don't have a solution to, albeit as scorched earth and probably illegal as it might be. And so what if America had less Americans in America and we could take care of fewer people better? Like what, 330, 350 million people? What if America only had 1 million people in it? Everyone would have their own city to themselves. You'd have to grow your own food because there's no supermarket, because there's no one to go to it. Metallic would only draw 15 people. I mean, it would just be a different country. And there just wouldn't be all of the crime there is now. There'd be no traffic jams. The sky would get annoyingly blue, and deer would be everywhere. Trees would erupt everywhere, just because there's not enough people to tear it all down and filthify it. And so I am not advocating carpet bombing NASCAR events, as fun and as effective as that might be. See, that's me. It's a bad idea, but it's funny, funny, funny. So I'm not talking about killing a bunch of NASCAR fans. I'm talking about maybe America really embracing science and acknowledging that global resources are ever diminishing, and maybe prevailing upon breeding adults to not necessarily need to have 5 children. You don't need 5. You're not a farmer in the 1850s where you're going to lose 2 kids to a cold. Johnny's going to stick his arm in the combine. The arm will get torn off. The kid will exsanguinate next to the crop. Like, your kids are going to all live to be 115 years of age, what they're putting in the water these days. And so, knock it off! Like, but we like to paw at each other's pudenda, which is the word I learned in 7th grade Latin. It means the naughty bits. You have a Netflix account. Use it. You've got 5 books. You live in the attic. You live in the garage. Read. Stop breathing! Because I think a lot of parents can't even handle 1 kid, much less 5. It's a lot of money. And a kid is a very complex creature, and you must drop everything you're doing and pay attention. If you've got 5, I think you're going to screw it up. And so, knowing Americans will argue with me, I want 5. How about this? Have 1, just so everyone knows you can do it, and then adopt 4. Because there's hundreds of thousands of homeless kids. Pretend they're rescue dogs. And they have their little noses pressed up against the barbed wire, and if they want out, they want a home, adopt. And some backbencher member of Congress from the southern part of the United States, like, well, what if you do that? Little Johnny gets 2 mommies and 2 daddies. Well, what if they do get 2 mommies or 2 daddies and the kid is loved unconditionally? No guarantee, but the kid might turn out okay. I had a mommy and a daddy. Neither one of them wanted me. If I had 2 mommies that loved me unconditionally, I wouldn't be here tonight. I'd be well adjusted. I'd be in banking. And so my parents screwed me up. Voila, here I am. And so I think that young people get the short deal in the United States of America because parents are too busy to deal with this creature that's schizophrenic. They're one person in the morning, they're another person in the evening because it changes so quickly. So whenever I see a family of 7 at the supermarket, mom, dad, and 5 kids, I want to bring the kids together for a power meeting as to how we together can conspire to make the century end better than it began. So me and 5 kids. Okay, kids, gather around. Do you know why there's 5 of you? Because your parents thought if they tried again and again and again and again and again, they'd finally get the one child that actually wanted. I know. Don't cry! The contempt your parents have for you is monumental. You are all the reason they understand that they have literally screwed themselves into endless credit debt. They're upside down on the house, on the vehicle. And why? Because every single morning you wake up hungry and you want food and ballet slippers and karate lessons and a soccer ball. They hate your guts. But who the hell are they to conceive you, to make you float around in a sack of amniotic fluid like some mutant dolphin for 9 months, to be shot into this porn-addicted, capitalist, consumerist killing field from sea to not so shiny as it used to be sea. Today, we level the playing field. The contempt and the power is with you, the oldest. Go into the shopping center right now, go to the automotive section and purchase a 1-liter container of antifreeze. You're going to pour it into your parents' iced tea for the rest of the summer. Yes, what is it? Glycol. It is the agent inside of the antifreeze. You are going to poison your parents and kill them. I said stop crying! Ethylene glycol is a horrible way to go. The skin breaks out, the hair falls out, and your parent will die screaming in agony. That is not your problem. It is not murder. It's justice. Today, we level the playing field. Justice. Deploy, deploy, deploy. You can't do that, but it would be effective and kind of groovy to watch. I'm just saying that I think young people in my country have to be more perceptive than ever because of that hellscape we adults have created for them. When the child says, I no longer want to be a she and a her, I want to be a they and a them, and the parents don't listen, maybe the child doesn't want to be a she and a her anymore because they are tired of walking to school next to a car full of men who enumerate all the things they can all do together in the front seat of the car behind the Burger King. They are tired of being hit on by the volleyball coach and the science teacher and their mom's friends. So they're no longer a she and a her because that's a death sentence. They want to be a child and not a grown-up. And so they defer to she or they and them, which is, to me, adroitly sidestepping the gnashing jaws of the American killing machine. And instead of listening to the child like, wow, that's really smart. They and them, huh? So you're getting away from being a girl because that's a terrifying thing to be. Right. Damn, you're a smart kid. Well, I need them to go to their room right now and start doing their homework. Instead of that, they're like, you're a little freak, you're a girl, and now go to your room, little princess, and do your homework. And these kids don't get hurt. And they're accused of like, oh, they're needy, they want special things. They just want to be heard. In my opinion, the parents are not listening enough, so I'm officially pissed off at negligent parents. And if I see one more report of a child self-harming or killing themselves, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because no kid asked to be born into this country. You didn't ask, I didn't ask. And when these kids get the short end of the deal in a country that can afford better, there's no damn excuse. And so I want to be an adult and not screw it up too badly. So, A, I don't have any kids, because I know my genes really well. This damn thing ends here. Are you kidding? And so that's over with. And so now that I'm old, and I'll be dead by September, I've reconciled myself to being Flavor Flav of Public Enemy. I know that sounds weird. I'm Flavor Flav, and all young people are Chuck D. And so they are the leaders with a great voice and a smart mind, and I'm the funny guy on the side going, yeah, yeah, go, go, go. So I'm rooting for young people. And I realized as an old man, one of my jobs is to get out of the way and stay out of the way of young people. Unfortunately, for young people all over the world, I like to do some things that young people like to do. And one of those things is go to live punk rock shows. I'm older than most of you, or maybe all of you. I was young at a really interesting time in music. Me and Ian Mackay used to go see arena rock. It was what was available to an underage person. And we saw Aerosmith, we saw Ted Nugent before he was talking between songs. But then music took this really interesting turn. And in the same basic, large period of months, we saw Led Zeppelin and The Clash. Music changed. And we went from one of 20,000 people in an arena where the singer's this big to standing in front of a stage and having Dee Dee Ramone of the Ramones sweat on you, having Lux Interior down to his underwear fall on your head. And he always had this cologne on, so I'd be covered in his cologne and his sweat, and I'd have to pass this man on to someone else. And so we saw all kinds of bands up close. Like there's Joe Strummer standing in front of you. I never have recovered from the experience of music right there. Watching the Bad Brains play house parties. I was at the first Minor Threat show. It was a house party in a living room. I've never gotten over it. So, as an old man, old in body but young of mind, I still go to see young bands play. I just love the energy and the fury. I don't want to be that age, but I dig the music. And so now that I'm easy to break, I hide in venues and watch shows. So I'm in some dark corner so no young whippersnapper runs into me and breaks my pelvis. And so I'm a one-man covert op surveilling the show. And some band is grinding and I'm way in the back like, yeah. Even in relative darkness, young punk rock men can find me. And either they're really perceptive just to survive America, or they might have a special application on their phone. Find the aging punk rock coelacanth we thought had died in the last century, but is somehow miraculously still alive. App. And they employ it. Go, go, go. Something that should be dead still lurks in the darkness. Punk rock youth will come up to me. Dude, no way, dude. Can we do a photo, dude? Who am I to say no? Hold on, dude. Thanks, dude. And they disappear into the darkness. It takes like 7 seconds. Every 50 shows or so, a punk rock woman will approach me, and she comes slowly out of the darkness, like mist, dewy, sultry. Excuse me, Mr. Rollins. And I always say, are you calling me mister because I'm old? Yes. I always think that's going to be the beginning of a joke, and it is. It's always on me. I'm like, ow, that always hurts. Can we do a photo? Who am I to say no, young lady? And so the young woman finds some light in the venue. So there's a light, okay, don't move. Because it has to like hit the cheekbone, the jaw, the hair, the eye, all must be featured in this photo. So hold on. Minute 2, minute 3. Got it, don't move. Phone, minute 4. Dialing it in. All right, hold, and the photo is half great, half horrible. The great part is her. She looks like the proverbial million in prizes. The cheekbone, amazing. Jawline, perfect. Hair, great. Eye, gleaming. I, on the other hand, inform the bad part. I look like I'm wandering through the photo. Is this the way to the park? Or I'm talking when I should be posing. So she's like, and I'm like, and I'm in the middle. Did you know this building was built in 1921? I looked it up. I have all this useless information because I live alone and everything's interesting to me. And so she's like looking amazing. And I'm like, and she's looking at it. She goes, oh, I look so great. And I go, but I look really bad. I request a do-over. Which, like, me, a do-over? She's like, no way. I look too good. But I look really bad. You can't use that for anything. So she's multitasking. She's winning the argument, and she's texting someone. She's going to send this. And if you go online right now, there's at least 1 to 2 photos of me with, they're always taller than me, with some tall, beautiful, punk rock woman looking great. And I'm like her little funny friend. And so she's murdering her cell phone with her thumbs, and the photo, I'm like, did you just send that to someone? Yes. Who? My father. If he finds out I met you, and I didn't have photographic proof of life evidence, he'll never believe me. About half a minute later, there's a return text. No way! I thought he'd be taller. If only your grandfather was alive to see this. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where it finds me in 2023. I reckon if I'm lucky, I will get to see your wonderful smiling faces one more time before it's all over. Have a wonderful week. Be safe, be kind, good night.